So I think that certainly for creatives to thrive, they need to have a sense that they are protected and that their voices, however either controversial, are heard. And in that case, that the idea of censorship really, of course, makes artists fearful, and of course then that means that they cannot be really truly expressive of themselves. And so if we're able to give them an environment that really ensures their safety and their security when they're creating, and creativity is in all forms, so it's music, it can be a cartoon, it can be content creation on digital, in the digital space, it can be all sorts of expression. If those expressions of artists are free, then they're able to speak, because remember, artists really speak on behalf of, not on behalf of, but they speak as a community, as society. So we really need to ensure that they have a space that is free of censorship, is free of intimidation, and is free of fear. And what can we do about that? This is something that certainly we've been talking about for a long time. Different countries are experiencing different levels of freedom, different levels of censorship, and certainly from my country, there's been that conversation around it. I think that we have to look at the sector in its totality. Civil society needs to work very closely with government. We need to work very closely with practitioners to ensure that security. What does that mean? Is that we need to have laws, we need to have policies, we need to have legislation that's in place that protects the artist, but the artist also needs to know their responsibilities, because of course there needs to be, where there is rights, then there obviously has to be some responsibilities. So there's awareness raising around what it means to have freedom of expression, but there's also awareness raising about what it is as a responsibility as an artist that you have when you're creating your work, and especially when you're exhibiting it or putting it out for the public to consume. So that's a very loaded question, because it is true that the strategies or the agencies that exist for artists to be able to benefit financially from their art are either under capacitated, or they have no way of understanding the benefits that they can accrue from the sector. I'm a big proponent of policies and how we build an enabling environment for our artists to grow. And some of these enabling environments are really from a national perspective, but also from a regional perspective. And we can easily and importantly borrow from countries that have advanced and are able to rake in a lot of financial gain from the sector. It's true that a lot of our artists, for example, are complaining that they don't even earn enough money to put food on the table. What a shame. And yet, the physical spaces as well as the digital spaces are there. It is remarkable that the AU has put forward this law for countries to be able to secure at least 1% of their GDP to the creative sector. How do we, as civil society, ensure that our governments hark to this call? There are also other instruments that can be used to ensure that the contribution of the sector is recognized. And that's important, because when you're able to demonstrate to governments what kind of level of contribution the sector gives to the country, then there can be a way that then you're able to ensure that government pays attention to the sector as an important player and as an important contributor to the GDP. And not only in terms of financials, but in terms of also ensuring that the youth are gainfully employed, ensuring that there are training centers around the country. So there are several ways that we can gain from putting in place security, putting in place laws, putting in place policies, and even goodwill. There's also a part that can be played by private sector that begins to understand the role, the important role that the sector plays, and they make an investment as well to the sector. So there are different ways that we can be able to ensure that we work together, again, as an ecosystem, whether it's private sector, government, or the audiences themselves. Remember that we are also really playing to an audience that is a paying audience. How do we also put them in to understand that the sector can really grow with their support?